458-69 with an 869 winning percentage. 32 combined titles, regular season and postseason tournament titles in the SEC in 38 seasons. In 38 seasons, she coached the Tennessee Vol Ladies to 8 national titles. That's only surpassed by Gino's current run at UConn. She was Coach of the Year 7 different times. In the NCAA tournament, her teams recorded a record 21 number one seeds. Not the number one seed in a region. The number one overall seed 21 times out of 38 seasons. She has a tournament record of 112 wins that she coached the University of Tennessee ladies to. She went to 30 straight NCAA tournaments. Now, I know I'm listing off career stats here, but this is a woman, in my opinion, that deserves all the respect. These things are amazing. She had 30-win seasons in 38 years. As an international coach, now this is not just a woman who touched the hearts and minds of collegiate athletes. She was the torchbearer for women's basketball in the United States of America on all levels. If not for her, we wouldn't have a lot of the things going on we have now. Becky Hammond would not be the first female coach down there for the San Antonio Spurs if it were not for what Pat Summitt has accomplished in the game of basketball. International record as a coach, 63-4. So don't just think, oh, she's doing this on the collegiate level. No, she can do it with grown women too. She preferred the collegiate level. In 2012, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Presidential Medal of Freedom, excuse me. There's not very many other people that have received that honor, especially not coaches from basketball or other sports. She had, okay, here's some good stuff for you. Out of 38 years, if you guys had to guess how many times the Tennessee Lady Vols had a losing season in 38 years, what would you guess? Maybe, let's say, if you were shooting for a low number, you'd say, what, 3 or 4, right? And if you were shooting for a high number, just to be crazy, you would say 10, 15, half of them, right? No, this is a woman in 38 years, her team had zero losing seasons. Again, for all of you macho types who think women's sports is lesser than men's, beat that. 161 scholar athletes came through her program. Now that doesn't account for all of her athletes. That's just the scholarship athletes. Out of those athletes, she had a 100% graduation rate. Beat that. Find another coach who understands as well in a top program that is competing every year that the first part of student athlete is the student and the athlete came second. She sent 34 women on to the WNBA. She had 21 All-Americans in her time and 39 All-SEC competitors. My thoughts are similar to what you've seen from Candace Parker, Holtzclaw, and all of her other players that have shed their tears this week. I talked about watching the great rivalry and the battles Tennessee had with UConn. And you knew whichever team came out on top of that game was going to win the national title that year. And if we were lucky, if we were real lucky, we got to see them compete in the tournament or for the national title. She will be greatly missed. Her legacy will forever stand. The court that she coached on and the court, that she played on in college are both named after Pat Summitt. So just for a minute, let's take a moment of silence for one of the truly, truly all-time greats throughout the history of sports. And it's been a long week. We lost Pat Summitt. We lost another great sport icon in the NFL, Buddy Ryan, this week at 85 years old. He also passed away. Now, Buddy didn't have as much of an impact on me as Pat Summitt did. A lot of his career was when I was much younger in the 80s and before I was born in the 70s. He coached a little bit in the 90s, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But everybody knows Buddy Ryan, mostly everybody knows Buddy Ryan for defense. What he did on defense, the 46 defense, the 85 Bears, and how dominant they were, right? Well, you can't deny Buddy Ryan's impact on the game of football. He's been around a long, long time, guys. Now, he got his first coaching job in the NFL with the 68 Jets. Came on as a defensive coach, helped them with different blitz packages, and helped them win the Super Bowl that year with the AFL Jets, Super Bowl III. So his first year coaching in the NFL, innovation with his blitzes. We know him for his blitzes. His son's defensive coordinator, they're blitz heavy, 46 defense. Wins the Super Bowl, first year as a defensive coach for the Jets. Next coaching job, next team that he coached for was Minnesota, 76 and 77. He worked with the defensive line there. The Purple People Eaters, one of the greatest defenses in the history of the National Football League. So that's the first of the greatest, one of the greatest defenses he coached for. And while he was there, he worked on a new scheme, a new defensive idea, the nickel package. Which now, in today's game, you got teams running the nickel package 70-75% of the game sometimes with the way the game's played. We owe that to him. Now, did other coaches and other teams adapt ideas that changed what became today's nickel? Sure. But he started developing what we now know as the nickel package with that Minnesota Vikings team, which, by the way, in 76 also went to a Super Bowl. They didn't win it, but he took another team as a defensive coach to a Super Bowl then. So two teams, 2 assistant jobs, 2 Super Bowls. 77, that Minnesota team almost made it back to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm a history buff when it comes to the NFL. So I did look stuff up for the show. I do have the first 40 Super Bowls on DVD right now that I watch. I'm waiting for the next set of 10 to come out so I can have the first 50. But going back and watching some of the footage from those games, that was great defense. In 78, went over to the Bears. Bears hired him on as the defensive coordinator. That's when he started developing his 46 defense. It didn't really take form and take shape until a few years later when they got the right players to really fit in all positions. And really in 81 when they brought in Mike Singletary and what he could do at that middle linebacker position really made it possible, really made it click. And that Bears defense, what they do. By 85, they were the most dominant defense, and again, they went to the Super Bowl, and they won. So now, 3 teams that he took, he coached for as an assistant that went to Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl victories. In 84, most people don't realize this, but in 84, the Bears defense had more sacks, 72. That's still the record for a single season than they did on that 85 team. Now, the 85 team followed that 72 sack season in 84 with 64 sacks of their own. That 85 team only gave up 198 points on the season. They only allowed a running back to run into the end zone 6 times. They had 34 interceptions and 54 turnovers. All still records. Great defense. I could have done a show just on these defenses, guys. I'm salivating, wanting to get out there and make hits right now. So he coached for the Bears, 78. Bears go through a coaching change in the early 80s when they're bringing in Ditka. A lot of the players wanted Buddy to be the coach, or at least keep him on as defensive coordinator. We all know Ditka and Buddy didn't get along. We've seen them arguing on the sidelines. We know about the fight during the Miami game in '85. But after they won that Super Bowl, Buddy had earned his stripes. He was done fighting with Ditka. And the Eagles decided, hey, we're going to bring you in as our head coach. And the next 5 years, he was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. They made it to the playoffs 3 times. They lost in the playoffs 3 times. Time in Philadelphia wasn't all that great. Had some great defensive players during his time in Philadelphia. And after he left the Eagles, he went on to be a football commentator for CNN, actually, for a few years. Being able to just talk football. In '93, the Houston Oilers brought him back in as a defensive coordinator. We all know what happened in '93, the infamous fight with his offensive coordinator on the sideline where he punched Kevin Gilbride in the face. And that season went pretty good for the Oilers. Buddy Ryan, again, he made a name for himself, got most of the credit for getting the Oilers to the playoffs that year. So the next year, the Arizona Cardinals rewarded Buddy with his second head coaching job. And they made him the GM. First year went good, 8-8 record, not bad. Could have been worse, things are looking up. Okay, we still got Buddy Ryan, defense. Second year, not so good, 4-12. And after that, they pretty much cut their losses, and Buddy stopped coaching. With the 46 defense, with the blitz packages he came up with that were new to the NFL, and with the Jets in '68, with the development of the nickel, the game wouldn't be what it was without Buddy Ryan. Buddy Ryan had some great quotes. He had some great moments. There was the punching of Kevin Gilbride. There was the fighting with Ditka. Sheil Kapadia, I believe is how you pronounce his name, wrote an article this week for ESPN.com titled "The Humor of Buddy Ryan: His 10 Greatest Quotes." Now, I'm not going to go through all the quotes. I'll read the ones that I like the most. If you want to read all 10, please go check out the article. But just to go with the Kevin Gilbride thing, number 1 on Sheil's list, Kevin Gilbride will be selling insurance in 2 years. And, of course, this is coming after he punched Kevin Gilbride in the face on the sideline, complaining about his run-and-shoot offense, or what he called chuck and duck. They didn't get along, and he didn't care if you liked it or not, or what you thought about it. And at that point, it had boiled over, and for the first time, and in a shocking way, we saw 2 head coaches getting two assistant coaches, of the same team on a professional level fighting on the sideline. Another good one. Some say the 46 is just an 8-man front. That's like saying Marilyn Monroe is just a girl. What is he supposed to say? You're going to tell me my defense isn't special? Of course he's going to defend his defense. Don't tell me my defense isn't special. That's like saying this beautiful woman is just another girl. QBs are overpaid, overrated, pompous bastards, and must be punished. This is one I agree with. I'm sorry. That's most of them. That's how they are. If they don't fit every one of those categories, they fit most of them, and they deserve to be punished. Now, half of that is because of how they're treated. They're so protected, So, yeah, you get the chance. You're going to punish a quarterback. That's a defensive-minded quote. I get that. Here's one where he's talking about a running back that came to his team for the Eagles. He looks like a reject guard from the USFL. He's so damn fat. And this is him talking about a running back.